Firstly, introductions all around. My name is Dragon Wolf Dolphin, musician, pre-vet student, and delphinic zoophile. People are often wondering just what the hell zoophilia is. Zoophilia is best described as a love of animals so intimate that the person and the animal involved have no objections to expressing their affection for each other in a sexual fashion. This is not to be confused with bestiality, where a person forcefully mates an animal without their consent and with no mutual feelings whatsoever. This is something that I would never do to a dolphin, since I love them dearly and treat them with the same respect that an honest husband would have for his wife and children. Dolphins are very intelligent, highly emotional, and expressive creatures. They enjoy the company of humans, and if a relationship develops between a human and a dolphin, as has happened with me, they will, on occasion, wish to express their trust and affection for you in the most direct way, through mating or sex play. You see, dolphins do not use sex purely for procreative reasons. They use it as a way of strengthening the bonds between pod mates, mothers and calves included, and also for fun. Dolphins and humans share this common trait with very few other animals, so sometimes it makes me wonder when people continue to ask me, how do you mate with a dolphin? Easy. Let the dolphin tell you. Well, I'm here with my co-host, Jonathan, to shed some light on the subject. Jonathan?
What? What?
Well,
The Yerky Boys.
the Yerky Boys. Shine and strengthen Candrona and all that.
How was the timing good on that one?
I think that one was perfect. Do you remember the website dolphinsex.org?
Can I not answer the question?
That's fine. That's fine. I just thought you might be interested in knowing where I got that little snippet from there.
Now, well, we've officially peaked as a podcast. It's not gonna. If people aren't listening now, then they're not gonna listen.
It's true.
That's is this asking for a friend? Is that website still live?
It's archived. You have to go to the web archive.
Oh, the Wayback Machine?
The Wayback Machine, yeah. No, it was originally linked on the original Goatsy site, which is how I first learned about it.
Now, for all the Zoomers out there who don't know what Goatsy is, you can Google that.
Right.
And you'll
Highly
figure
recommend
that out.
Googling it.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I wasn't briefed on this, but it's thematic, and I like that you really kicked things off with a bang.
Thank you.
So that's great.
I knew you'd appreciate it.
And you're also Will.
I'm also Will. I'm not Dragon Wolf Dolphin.
Yeah, little surprise for the listeners. Gotcha. And this is the podcast where we talk about Animorphs books, just to reiterate.
Yes, we talk about Animorphs books. This is book 4, The Message, and Cassie turns into a dolphin on the cover of this one. Thus,
wow. Yeah, no, yeah. Thus the dolphin. Right, that's the dolphin sex.
Right.
Which I'm sure will come up again as we get further into the book.
It might.
Hard to follow up on that, but I got to tell you, I'm feeling a bit like Cassie over here.
Are you now?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit like Cassie because I'm house sitting for my uncle who has kind of a farmish farm, and he's got some chickens and some cats that I'm tending to. So I feel like I'm on Cassie's wildlife rehabilitation center somewhat.
That's pretty cool.
Part of the reason I mentioned that is because one of the cats here is a little old and a little bit ornery, and there's a non-zero chance that at some point during the podcast he might start yowling and sounding like a dying animal loudly and abrasively.
Right. And so Jonathan will have to go and shove a pill down its throat while wearing leather work gloves out in the barn.
I don't know if it's going to happen or what we will do if it does, but I thought I'd give the warning now.
Okay. So he's not torturing cats over there, just
Yes, that's not what's happening. I'm tending to sick and wounded hawks and ospreys and whatever other weird animal Cassie always seems to have
Yeah.
6 of in her barn.
You're a hero to the animal kingdom.
So, with that said, I mean, I don't know how this podcast continues, but presumably we start talking about the book.
Yeah, I guess so. I do actually have one, I guess I don't know if it's a correction, but I have one follow-up on something from last episode,
Okay.
uh, which is that, with regard to the question, are there Jewish Animorphs? I
Don't
have yeah, yeah.
no, go on.
I have received information that Rachel is Jewish. Now, I don't remember this, but apparently it comes up in one of the Megamorphs books. And that means that Jake is also potentially ethnically Jewish, not like matrilinearly. So I don't know if uh, it depends on how you want to define it. But also, Jake's last name will get revealed, and I did not know, but apparently it is a Jewish last name. So there is
Wow.
Jewish representation in Animorphs, I am told.
Wow. I mean, the Rachel and Jake are funny because they are, like, definitely Rachel and Jacob are very Jewish names, but they're also
Mhm.
names that, like, everybody has.
Right,
So,
right.
it's not like, Moses or something. But okay. Alright. Sure. I
Yeah,
look forward to their bar and bat mitzvahs, which must be
yeah. Well,
maybe they might have happened right before the series started. They
they
are
might have.
13,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, that is about right.
So, yeah, so that must they're men and women in the eyes of the Jewish law,
Well,
which is nice.
cool. So they're not child soldiers. They're full
Yeah.
adults here, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's how it works. All right. So,
Yeah, yeah,
now can we start the book?
yeah. Absolutely. Just to start off with, so I mentioned briefly on the introduction podcast, I believe this is the first book I ever read. Um,
In your
and
life?
the first Animorphs book I ever read in my life.
Okay. Okay.
Not the first book, but yeah, I borrowed it from a friend who was at summer camp with me. I think I was definitely intrigued by the cover because I was really into fish and ocean stuff. So you got the dolphin. So a
Yeah.
lot of the things when I read it, it'll be like, oh, well, this was the first instance of this I ever saw. This was the first instance of that I ever saw. It's
Wow.
got that kind, yeah.
It's not a bad book to start with.
No, not at all. I actually rereading it now, I think it's shockingly well written, by what I thought. It definitely, I mean, the writing in the series devolves as we get into the ghostwriting books, but I feel like this is much better written than the first three as well.
Huh. Yeah, I would say they maybe steadily get better. I don't know that I felt like a marked difference in my mind, but maybe I wasn't
Hmm.
paying close enough attention.
Yeah.
I did really like the Tobias book, which was all like a very different
Yes.
style also in terms of the writing.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, but so we've got this that's exciting. We've got this cover with Cassie turning into a dolphin.
Indeed, we
Now,
do.
did your version when you first read it also have a contest on the cover?
It did. I had to replace that, and the version I have now does not. But the version I had a contest, and I remember being really excited by that contest, even though it had already concluded and the people were already on the cover by the time I had read the book. And I
Yeah,
was a
well
little
that's a
disappointed when I
shame.
figured that out.
Well, this is the picture yourself morphed contest where you had to write in I found and say which animal you would want to morph into, and if you won, you got to. There were a few books later where they actually took pictures of these kids and turned them into those animals.
Yeah, like
So
I think one of them isn't the only one I remember is 10 was one of them.
it was on Seropedia. I think one of the Megamorphs maybe, and 14 or something. I don't remember which one the other one
Gotcha.
was, but
If it is
now,
10, then somebody wanted to turn into a tarantula, which is a little odd.
well, no, I think they were separate, like in the back of the book.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because they have to have the right model. Right.
This raises the question: which animal would you want to turn into? We haven't covered this. We haven't covered our personal. What's your
Yeah,
dream morph?
yeah, possum.
Why? Why would you turn into a possum? We won't even know the difference.
Uh, uh, uh,
You got Marcoed, bitch.
I did. What about you? What
Um,
animal?
Probably a lizard because I can eat a spider. um,
That's very you.
I don't know. I don't know. A cat. They made cats sound pretty good. I don't really want to be any. I guess anything that can fly. That's the one animal that's like, well, I'll let you actually experience something you can't really experience as a human to
Yeah.
any extent.
They do really play up the flying in these books. They make you want to fly for sure.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? It's like that's the dream, right? Everybody wants to fly. Like, it's like, oh, I like kangaroos, but it's not gonna be when you hop around for a little while, you're gonna get bored. You don't need that.
Yeah. Well, they're good at fighting too, I think. Like they beat each other up or something.
Oh yeah, kangaroos are jacked, and I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
Kangaroo Jack. I mean,
Right.
I'm talking about all of them. This contest, by the way, reminds me of this. That's got to be another long episode, folks. Just strap in. This reminds me of, the Artemis Fowl books. You know
Mhm.
those books.
Of course.
Did you read those?
I read the first like 2 or 3, but I
Yeah,
know there were a lot.
I thought they were only like 6 or 7, maybe. I don't think there were that many.
However
But
many there were, I did not get that far into reading them, but I reread the first one at least enough times to remember it fairly well.
yeah, say that's pretty much the same with me. But I remember there were in the first Artemis Fowl book, the first one, there was a contest. Maybe it was the second one. I don't remember. I think it was the first one. There was a contest in it to be an extra in the Artemis Fowl movie. And I remember
Damn.
at the time being like, "Wow, that's so cool! They're making a movie of this. Oh, I'd love to win this contest." I don't remember how you entered. Of course, that movie never got made until they finally made one, like literally 20 years later. That was terrible.
Yeah,
But what
what a
a
punishment.
yeah, I somehow doubt that contest was honored from
Yeah.
1997 or whatever.
I
But
demand to be in this movie. I won the contest.
that's how they cast Artemis Fowl. That's who that kid was. Anyway, there's a good quote on the inside of this book, but I don't know.
There is. It says Cassie's acting a little fishy.
except
Mhm. Right.
dolphins are
Yeah.
mammals.
I don't think I noted in this book, I don't think Cassie ever says, "Actually, dolphins are mammals, Marco," even though that's totally exactly what she would do.
Yeah, yeah, that's a missed opportunity on Cassie's part,
It is.
but whatever. All right.
Yeah, I'm reading the other one too, the sometimes you have to change a little more than your mind, and I'm wondering if they ever get, like a more than meets the eye Transformers quote on these.
Every front cover quote so far has just been some. I'm waiting for. Do you want your change? Like they're all just the dumbest, most meaningless puns on like the word change. That has nothing to do with anything. Hey, if you were an animal, wouldn't that be different?
It would.
That's my pitch for the next book. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good cover. I can see why you like
It
it.
is. It is. I did like it a lot. And Cassie looks quite stunning in her little second
Yeah,
second stage happy
that is the
dolphin.
weirdest, most unpleasant one.
Sure
As I
is.
think that's maybe always going to be the case.
That's probably true. It's too
The
human.
It's the uncanny valley. Yeah, it's weird. It's very
Yeah.
weird. I don't know that this is. I guess this is a fairly accurate representation of what it looks like when someone morphs based on their descriptions.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's a little all at once. Like in the books,
yeah,
things will happen sometimes out of order, but it is supposed to be horrifying and gross.
right, right. Yeah, it doesn't happen this smoothly unless maybe later when they are better at it.
I don't think they ever get better at it.
Well, Cassie's
Cassie's,
real good at it.
yeah, I don't know that there are, I don't, trying to remember the word, but there are performers on the Andalite world who like morph as performance art, and I don't think Cassie ever practices this, but like she clearly has the talent. I think estrine is the word for someone with a talent for morphing, but
Sure.
we'll see.
Well,
We'll find
the
out.
Cassie's morphing is relevant to our the beginning of our book, so why don't we
It
go there?
is. It is. So so we open up. Cassie can't sleep. She's been having strange dreams about the ocean. And she's been having a problem where some kind of animal has been getting into the wildlife rehabilitation clinic and it's been killing the birds. So she goes out to the barn in the middle of the night to morph a squirrel to see if she can't catch this mystery badger or fox or whatever it is. She morphs into the squirrel. The original squirrel's name is Magilla, by the way. I'm just going to point that out now. Uh, Tobias shows up in the barn in the middle of the night as well. Um, he actually thinks about eating her at first. Seems a little rude, but the animal does show up. It's a fox. Tobias chases it out, and she morphs back. And she and Tobias have a conversation and realize that the reason they're both up here in the middle of the night is that they've been having the exact same dreams about the ocean and about a voice calling to them from beneath the waves. So this is our intro. We get our nice using our morph for personal reasons scene. We get our nice little hook into the story.
Yeah, Cassie's really good at morphing because she's a huge nerd.
Yes.
And in all the books before this, everyone kept remarking on like, "Oh, Cassie's so good at morphing," you know. And this book, it's like, "Oh, now we're Cassie." We get a little bit of insight into how she's so good at morphing, and it turns out because before she morphs, she thinks about what it's like to be that animal. That's her secret trick.
This kind of feels like the 115-year-old whose secret to longevity is they eat a mango every day or something. Like I don't know that Cassie's a reliable. She's just good at it. She can empathize with the animal better
It's an
or
innate
something.
ability that she maybe herself doesn't fully understand. Yeah,
Something like this.
that could be true. I like the squirrel stuff. It's funny that the squirrel is, it's doing the like, ah, I'm a squirrel. Like that's how all squirrels are characterized in media.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's like over a full page of just the squirrel her squirrel brain going, "Ah, predators. Ooh, a nut. Ah, what's that? Ah."
yeah.
And again, this is my first morph that I ever read.
Wow.
So so just seeing all the squirrel thoughts coming down, that's my
Diving
intro to
right
being in
into
the
it.
head of the animal.
That is wild.
It
A good
is.
intro.
It is.
It did make me want like a Mirror's Edge style video game where you're a little squirrel doing parkour. Cause that, I the way they described it, I was like, yeah, squirrels are little acrobats. They're jumping through the trees like Tarzan and stuff. That's fun.
Hmm.
Do you think that's fun?
I do think that's fun. Yeah,
I'm a,
Cassie is. She does a run straight up in this one,
oh yeah, she does like
like up the
you know,
beam.
like Trinity.
Yes, like Trinity, little acrobat squirrels.
These kids definitely. Marco would have referenced the Matrix if it was out at this point.
Wouldn't have been out at this point.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If it were, he would have.
That's true. They should. Did they re? I mean, they rewrote this book, right? Do you have the
Yeah,
list of
I
changes?
I did glance at it. There's no they did not
Uh,
add the Matrix to this
that's
book,
too
I'm
bad.
afraid. But I'm still one thing about this scene, I'm still a little unclear about why Tobias actually was there. There was like a point where he makes a joke about that he was looking for barbecue. I don't like which I'm not sure what that means. It seems like he was just hunting, but why
Yeah,
specifically would he come to hunt in Cassie's barn?
it does seem rather rude to hunt in Cassie's barn, right? Like if the squirrel, even if the squirrel's not in the cage, it just you could go hunt something in a field. How do you know they didn't get out? It just seems wrong. Uh, he's
It's
being a bad
weird.
friend, kind of.
And this is really like a full 180 from the previous book where, he was fighting so hard against his hawk instincts and now he's just like, "Nah, I'm out here. I'm eating squirrels. This is the life now."
Yeah, no, Tobias is fully in into hawk life now. He lives as a hawk. That's just how it is. He's done fighting it. He's not going to be a human, and that's kind of going to continue.
Yeah, you know what? That's fine. We had that book. It's cool. He's embraced it now. We can move on. That's fine. Move past
Yeah,
it.
we can. There's also a scene in this part where Cassie's dad walks in on her. That
Right, right.
yeah, I remember as a child quite vividly because he almost catches her in Morph because she still has her squirrel tail. And he asks her to turn around, and she manages to sloop it back in just in time. And he chalks it up to being sleepy.
Yeah, it's a classic Three's Company style like wacky hiding the secret thing scene. What's that behind your back? Nothing.
It's a
But
good thing she's so good at morphing. She
what would
only
his
has the
reaction really be if he saw her with a big squirrel tail? Like he'd just be like, "Oh, you're like wearing a costume or
yeah.
something."
My daughter's a furry. Turns out
Oh, I guess we don't know. He could be a controller. Who knows?
that's true. We do not know.
You can't be too careful. Yeah, these kids are all definitely furries. There's no I don't think you get the power to turn into animals without it affecting, especially when you're a teenager. Like they're all 100% furries.
Got it. I wonder what the overlap between furries and the Animorphs fandom is.
It's not zero.
Yeah.
there's there's a Venn diagram there, and yeah, it's got some in it.
Yeah.
At any rate,
Oh, I
oh
did
yes.
want to. I did want to point out here the differences because last time you were talking about a hawk fighting a raccoon, and here we get Tobias goes after a fox.
Huh.
I I do think this is a little more of a reasonable fight in a way because even though a fox is tougher than a raccoon, foxes are much more skittish. A raccoon is absolutely going to fight back if you go for it, whereas a fox is much more likely to run away if it has the opportunity. Raccoons are stubborn little bastards. So I think I don't think it's I took note of that discrepancy, but I don't think it's quite as much of one as it could be here.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
he's a human; he can make that assessment in the way a hawk couldn't. So
Yeah, I guess I'd rather fight a fox than a raccoon.
yeah, at least a
Unless it's
fox
protecting its babies.
At least if a fox sneaks into your house, it will leave when you come running at it yelling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Foxes make weird sounds.
They do.
They like scream.
Yeah, I love them.
And I've I just was going to say sometimes they also say stuff like
That's true.
whatever. Okay.
They do say that kind of thing. Yeah, we got foxes out in the greenway behind my house, so I do hear them occasionally at night.
What the hell is a greenway? This isn't the
It's like
time for this.
there's like a power lines going through there, so it's all overgrown and all that kind of thing.
Boy.
No
All right.
development. Animals live
Okay.
out there.
All right. Okay. Go on.
Yeah. Well, they what ends up
Uh-huh.
happening, they all meet up to talk about these dreams. They all meet up in Rachel's room. It turns out only Cassie and Tobias are having these dreams. Marco and Rachel are pretty skeptical if they mean anything or whatever. But Jake has taped a segment of the news that he thinks might be relevant. Because it turns out that pieces of metal have washed up on the beach and they have strange alien looking writing on them. And Jake recognizes it as the same writing that was in the Andalite ship that Elfangor had when Jake went in to get the cube. As they see this story, both Tobias and Cassie fall unconscious and slip into this hallucination where they once again hear the voice calling out to them. And it says, "If you can hear me, come." They're convinced it's an Andalite voice, and they all decide that they need to go rescue this Andalite. So we got another great series of character moments. This chapter is sort of again, all these are my introduction things to concepts. This is my intro chapter to all of the characters and their dynamic. Um,
Hmm.
I quite like it too.
I think we need a machete cut of Animorphs. It's the Dog Times cut, and you start with this book.
Okay. Okay. I see. The problem is I wouldn't be able to tell you what order I read the first 20 in. I just know it was out of order.
People know your Twitter handle, so it's not because I just said dog times instinctively,
That's true.
even though we introduced you as Will at the top, people know your Twitter handle is dog times, so it's not so weird that I said that. Um, but it is still very weird. Yeah, there's some good character stuff. I like imagining, like especially. I wonder if it was weirder for you as your first book, but for book four, I had to step back for a second and consider how weird it is that these kids are just hanging out, playing video games, watching TV, and just also there's a hawk just like in the living room, just like chilling with them. It's very funny to picture.
I think when I first read this book, I didn't know what a red-tailed hawk was, and I imagined Tobias is looking like what's his name from Aladdin, because that's a red bird who talks.
Iago.
Yeah, Iago.
Okay, sure.
A different image than I have now.
Now that's the fan fiction I want. Cassie. Sorry, that's the best I can do. It's the best I have.
It was
Rest in
very
peace.
good.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. What I want to know, you mentioned the Andalite alphabet. Do we know what
Yes.
that is? Is there a visual interpretation of that? Do we have
I
that somewhere?
don't recall ever seeing any Andalite letters.
Yeah, they don't even maybe in the first book they describe it a little, but
I wonder if it's in the TV show.
or the comic maybe?
Mm.
I don't oh, you can you
I
there's
hear an
meowing.
ornery cat.
Yeah, so this may he may stop or he may do this for 20 minutes. If it gets bad, I'll stop and stop recording and we'll figure that
Well,
out.
he seems to be done for now, so.
Boy, it's like fluffy McKitters over there.
Yeah, yeah, Fluffer McKitty.
That's what it is. Now there's also another passage here that I want to highlight when they're doing their usual thing of being like, oh, that's Marco, he's this, that's Rachel, she's
Mhm.
that, just to catch everybody up.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, Cassie describes Jake, and they've got a thing for each other.
Right.
She says, "I really like Jake, as in like." Um,
Mhm.
Although she does say Marco is kind of cute too, but not her type.
Yeah,
But
girls think
she
Marco's cute.
she compliments his amazing eyelashes.
Yeah, she would love to have them herself, she says.
But the part I was focusing on is so far, like in all these books, it feels like there's been a part where they talk about Jake as their leader, and Cassie here says he's sort of our quote in quotes leader, although he's not bossy in any way. What is it feels like they're all like embarrassed that he's their leader or something. Like everybody keeps saying it, but none of them understand why they keep saying it. They're like, I don't know, he's the leader because that's his job, but we're not sure why. It feels
Yeah.
very weird to me.
Yeah, and I mean, Jake himself feels that way about it too, and, we're gonna lead into a running gag about that at the very, very end of this book, too.
Okay. All
Which, I
right.
mean, I'm sure you remember it, right? Well, whatever, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Uh,
Don't spoil it for me. I forget these things.
okay, okay.
I get to experience it all over again. I forget everything that happened two
That's
days
the
after I read it.
best part of this podcast,
That's right.
experiencing it along. I really like, also with character descriptions, I have a little passage here too. When she's describing all the characters, she says, Marco is never happy unless he's complaining about something, just like Rachel is never happy unless she has something to fight against. And Tobias is never happy, period.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
good
good.
description. This,
Got
again,
him.
are you sure you're not just Marco?
No, every book I'm more and more convinced I'm Marco. I don't you remember in the first book episode the first thing I said was that the cover of the book was quote insane. Like
I,
I said that
I do remember that.
before I knew that was his thing. It's my thing.
It
So
is.
as you said, Cassie passes out. Right? Just Cassie or Tobias too.
Cassie and Tobias both pass out. Yeah.
Yeah, this made me realize. Now I know they have this like farm as kind of a base, but these kids need like like a classic and all the crime shows, like on Breaking Bad, I feel like had this. There's like a vet who does like back like when somebody gets shot but they don't want to go to the hospital, they go to the secret veterinarian who's like patches them up for a little bit of money. That's what
It's
they need, somebody like that.
it's legitimately Cassie. That's the best they got.
Yeah,
Cassie
but she's
serves
not
that function.
repairing bullet wounds.
Yeah. I mean, I mean that kind of comes up later in this book. That they all kind of turn to Cassie when there's grievous injury. But yeah, for the most part, they just morph around their injuries. Although we will see come book 29, Cassie step into that role a little bit more for a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Hello.
hopefully they don't get injured too grievously going forward. All right, so then everybody has another good dream and we get to move on with the plot.
Indeed, we do. They well, I don't know if they have a good dream, but
I
they
thought it was good.
okay. As long as you think it's good, definitely a bit of a spooky thing with them passing out, but whatever. They all decide they have to go rescue this Andalite or whatever it is. It's probably an Andalite. So they decide they are going to go down to the beach to, I guess, see if maybe they feel something more when they're down at the beach. I'm not quite sure what the reasoning there is, but I guess they didn't really have any leads. But as they go down to the beach, they're out there at night and they see that a group of sharing members are there, and both Tom and Chapman are there searching. So they go hide in the dunes, and they overhear them talking. Visser 3 has also been getting visions, just like Cassie and Tobias, about this.
Mm,
So they know that there's some kind of andalite or something going on out in the water.
mhm.
But as they're searching, the controllers find their footprints in the sand, and they start following them and chasing them. And they can't really morph because then they'd leave changing footprints. So they all run out into the ocean and morph trout. As they're running out to the ocean, they're actually getting shot at. The controllers see human kids running and they shoot at them with regular guns. Um, but they go into the ocean, they morph trout, and they swim away. Um, but the controllers do find their clothes in the surf, and there is a question of if Visser 3 is wrong, and they might actually be humans.
Yeah.
Now, we don't see this brought up too much in here in the series, but this is the first time we see it really hinted at that people might suspect them. Um,
Which feels like, they should.
They should. Although Chapman has a whole thing where he says, "Well, uh, Visser 3 thinks they're Andalites. And I'm not about to go tell Visser 3 that he's wrong because what if he eats me?"
Yeah. No, that that, and he is, like you said in the other book, very Darth Vader. It
Yes.
it is that. Although in the original Star Wars, there's the one guy who's like, "The Force is stupid." It's like, why'd you say that to him, dude? He like murders everybody. I don't know. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. But yeah, that's a good little line. That's a good part.
Yeah, I do like that. And again, we'll see Visser 3 has a weird I kind of almost want to call it a personality disorder, but he is just extremely overly obsessed with Andalites. The more we learn about his character, the more it does make sense that he just isn't. He wants them to be Andalite bandits. He wants to fight some
Mm,
Andalites for sure.
yeah, he hates him. He
Yeah.
hates him. Now, Tom must be, it seems from this, a pretty high-ranking member of the sharing to be like involved in this search.
Yeah. Yeah. His Yerk is pretty high ranking, and that'll be something we'll see a little bit more about what position he might have specifically in book 6 coming up. So but we will see more going on with that.
Yeah, so that's interesting to be like, he's not just some dude who's, although I was gonna say he joined relatively recently, but I'm like, wait, it doesn't that doesn't matter because the Yerk is not him.
Right, right. The Yerk might have passed around from different people. It is interesting that it feels like the Yerk must be moving up through the
Oh,
ranks
really?
right now. Yeah, because if he were already high ranking, it does make sense they wouldn't have put him in Tom. Tom's just some kid, right? I don't think they
Mm.
would have. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that makes sense. But I was like, oh, maybe they don't really care. It's just like we just need a body, and you're a important
Mhm.
Yerk, and just go in a body. But I guess you're right. Like he doesn't even have his own house. Like there's no like
Yeah.
autonomy there.
There will be more details surrounding that, so we can keep an eye on that when it comes up.
Okay, okay. There's a line where they Cassie says the sharing is very subtle, of course. Which I said, are they? Are they the sharing? Yeah, they're very subtle.
Yeah,
The sharing.
they're a little cultish for sure.
Um, and I gotta say the concept of being a freshwater fish in saltwater seems really uncomfortable. That seems bad.
Yeah, they do describe it as like burning all over their skin and in their gills.
Yeah,
But
that's rough. That's
yeah,
that's kind of uncomfortable. That made me uncomfortable.
I mean, what are you gonna do? I
Like, what are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do? I do want to highlight a little conversation that Marco and Jake have, where Marco is upset about dying before he can even get his driver's license. Jake says, Jake says, Marco, you can turn into a bird and fly. You could do it right now. Why would you care about driving a car a few years from now? And Marco, of
Yeah,
course, says, the babes. You can't pick up chicks when you're a bird.
yeah. Yeah. So true. The babes,
The
man.
babes. I don't know.
Babes.
Tobias seems to be picking up a chick as a bird.
Yeah, you just gotta find the freaky chicks.
You beg to differ here.
I mean,
Uh,
this is pre-Twilight, like, this is really I feel like there's plenty of chicks who are into I mean, Tobias is basically like it's Angel from Buffy, it's any of these, like, tortured souls of
mhm.
whether they're teenagers or whatever who are like trapped in some horrible I don't know, even like the beast from Beauty and the Beast. This is a thing. This is an established thing that babes dig, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this he's a bird though. Like, there's a difference between the beast who's vaguely humanoid, all these other things. There's some sense of bipedal anatomy on most of these other things. Tobias is just a bird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not like as sexy as a vampire, but man, to each
Yeah,
their own.
yeah. Whatever Rachel is into,
She's into some shit. That's all we know.
she
Um,
is indeed.
yeah,
I
okay.
think Tobias and Marco also have in these first couple chapters a little bit of banter between them. Like it seems like in the early books, Marco is extremely mean to Tobias, and Tobias has the thing where he's like, "I don't know if I'll ever be close," but I think there's some kind of bonding going in there, and that Tobias is coping by making jokes, and Marco digs that. He gets it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I like that. They're buds. They're
Yeah,
buds.
yeah. There's some joke where Marco's like, "Do you poop while flying?" Tobias is, "Yo, it depends on who's below me."
Yeah, which was my question in the last book too.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it
you
was,
know,
wasn't it?
yeah. So,
You see,
once
you're just
again,
Marco. Is the
once again, I mean, he's the stand-in for me. K.A. Applegate wrote that part knowing I would
yeah,
read it.
yeah. You've evolved into a better Marco than I have. I did my best, but
Yeah, there was a branching path somewhere along the way. Now I don't know if I feel like this is a little after that scene, but then they kind of just before the next event happens, they sort of just go about their lives for a bit. Um,
yeah, yeah. They end up waiting around for a bit before they do anything because everyone's kind of waiting for Cassie to say, should we go forward or should we not? Because she's the only one who. Tobias had these dreams, but he can't really do oceans, and nobody else had the dreams. So everyone's kind of thinking, Cassie, are you going to make a decision or what? Jake eventually comes by and has a conversation with her about it, and they decide that they are going to go out and do this. And their plan is they're going to go morph dolphins. So they go to the gardens and acquire some dolphins there. The trainer lets them just come up and feed and pet them because she knows Cassie, so that's easy. Um, so that's our setup. We're morphing dolphins, and it's also
or-
the first time that we see Cassie bring up the question of the ethics of morphing an intelligent animal, which is This is a
Yes.
running theme throughout the books. So,
Oh, is it? Okay.
yes, yes, you'll see a lot of this.
Well, I want to talk about that
Absolutely.
in a second.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There was one thing I thought was that we do find out that Rachel's mom is a lawyer. I don't know if we knew that
We
before.
did know that.
Okay, we did. Then I just forgot it. But she's a really good lawyer. She's got a
Yes.
Lawyer of the Year award.
She did get the Lawyer of the Year award. I have that written down here too.
Yeah, and I like that Cassie says, "Oh, since it's a dinner, that means for Rachel, that's major shopping for new everything."
Major shopping. That's how they talked in the 90s.
I I like the I do kind of like Rachel's character that she's like she in other books she could have just been the Valley Girl character, but
Yeah.
she kind of like is that and also something else.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Yeah, they don't even just like fully subvert it by saying, "Oh, you think she's the Valley Girl, but she's also the warrior." No, no, no. She's also the Valley Girl. She's both of them.
yeah.
She does love shopping.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's a good yeah, I like that. It's not like you don't
Yeah.
have to choose one or the other. You can be a
Yeah.
badass and love doobie shopping at the same time.
That's true. Yeah, no,
Eh,
they actually I like earlier they even have a little juxtaposition with her room being all like neat and orderly and stereotypical, but and she's got like post-it notes where you would put all the like little quotes that motivate you. Only Rachel's
oh,
quotes are like Sun Tzu and that sort of thing.
I did highlight one of
Perfect
those
war.
quotes. I lost it now, but it was a good weird quote.
There was the
Um,
classic one and then there was don't think there are no crocodiles just because the water is calm.
that was it.
Malayan
Yeah.
proverb.
Yeah. Pretty good. You go about in pity for yourself. That's a Sopranos reference. Don't worry about it.
I won't.
I do think Rachel I had a funny joke and now I don't remember it. Sorry.
You got to write down your jokes when you have them, or you'll forget come
But I mean,
cast
I
time.
literally just thought of it like just now.
Oh, okay. You got to write down
Yeah.
your jokes when you think of
You're right. But I want so then there's another part. This is all pre-dolphin planning too, still. But there's a part where Tobias visits Cassie, and he gets mad at her because she's saving a golden eagle, and apparently golden eagles eat hawks.
them. Yeah, earlier on, he's like, "Well, I suppose I can't be too upset at you for wanting to save some birds when when the fox is in the barn. So make up your mind, Tobias."
Yeah, yeah. It's but this is a strange dynamic. I don't understand. Tobias is like, I love people who save birds. I hate these birds because I'm a hawk. It almost feels like he's like a Mets fan. They're a Yankees fan. It's like, oh, I can't believe you'd hang out with that guy.
A bird
I don't know.
racist.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, it's funny,
Eh,
but
I mean, this is Tobias really does. He is about the bird life. He has opinions on all the different kinds of animals, like strong ones that a person probably wouldn't have.
Tobias is not to, once again another meme reference. Tobias is in the corner at the party, like they don't know golden hawks or dicks or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You know the meme. You know the meme.
When if we ever make a official Yerky Boys Twitter, we'll post all these memes there.
That's yes, yes. You know what? We're committed to it now because these memes need to exist.
That's yeah.
It
You
was
can make
around.
them.
Okay, well, it was around this part of the book that I really it started to gel for me that Cassie really is your type. They keep talking about how she's just like dirty and like wearing plain clothes
Right,
and
right, right. Keeping it rural.
unwashed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
This
yeah.
this is
It's possible this was formative to me as a young lad.
yes, and it is to be clear, it's a little awkward. It's always I feel a little awkward to be talking about because there's like romance in these books and
Yeah,
stuff, but they're like little kids, so I, I feel like there's
it's fun.
something
It's like puppy love.
innately yeah, there's something like because inevitably with a fandom you get shipping and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And it's like the books almost encourage that. Like it makes
Yeah,
sense kind of, but there is a part where you have to go like, these are just children. It's like
yeah.
there's a line you can't cross there
It's
somewhere. I don't know.
it's interesting because uh when it doesn't feel that way to me because when I was really into the books, I
Right.
was younger than the characters in the book. So it feels like, oh
Right.
yeah, I could have gone on for like a good 10 years writing fan fiction about these characters without it being creepy. Like if I
Yeah.
went and did it today, it would feel a little bit weird. But
Yeah.
because I'm always reflecting back to that time, it's like, yeah, yeah, whatever, who cares?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's true. There's definitely a weird
Yeah.
dynamic there.
You're the creepy weirdo for reading them in your 30s. I don't know why you're doing this. You
Yeah.
agreed to.
You're right. You're right and you're not wrong. There's a part here where Cassie mentions that her farm had been in her family since the Civil War,
That's true.
and I don't know, that just seems a little awkward, what with the whole Civil War slavery thing as an issue.
It kind of
Uh,
reminded me of the like legacy black family in Stephen King's It, but I didn't remember enough details to draw real parallels there.
was
Like
that
I wa-
like
like I wonder if there were issues surrounding, a black family who had land ownership in the past. I'm sure Cassie's great grandmother, whoever could answer these questions and talk to me for hours about it. But
yeah, maybe at Thanksgiving,
mhm.
which apparently Jake went to Cassie's for Thanksgiving at one point
Yeah,
also.
Cassie's family knows Jake.
But like, where was Jake's family?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just was like, oh, that's interesting. They're very close, I guess. All right, so now we get into all this Cassie moralizing questions, right?
Yes, yes.
Is Cassie a vegetarian? First of all, she's got to be, right?
I don't think she is.
Okay, so that really makes this hypocritical. I
She
feel
really
like,
should be. Um,
yeah, if you're unwilling to turn into one, you shouldn't eat one either. I mean, I
I
guess
mean,
you wouldn't eat a
she's not
dolphin.
eating dolphins. Yeah.
I mean,
This is one of these things. As a kid, I thought this was the stupidest thing in the world because it's just like you turn into an animal. It's not the same thing as controlling an animal, you dumbass.
okay, well, as an adult who thinks
Hmm.
this is the stupidest thing in the world,
Hmm.
explain to me why now your mind has changed.
Uh,
Or
it's only a
has it?
very recent thing that I've been thinking about because even rereading these in my 20s, I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. But I think there's something here, um, which is, when you morph the animal, you've created this whole animal, this artificial construct of an animal, but you have created its brain, and we know that they have their instincts and all of that, which means that if the brain is capable of thought, how do we know that that brain isn't thinking? Right. So I feel like there is something there in that you've created this artificial brain for the sole purpose of controlling it. And if it's capable of thought, what are the ethics of that? Um, I don't know. I think there is something there, and I, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, there's no I'm not totally sure. I think even later in this book, Rachel or somebody says to her like, "But look, we're not yerks. We're not like actually controlling
Mhm.
the animal against its will. We're just taking on its appearance." I don't know. It's like, is she saying it's like cultural appropriation of dolphins? Like, I don't
Well,
understand
well,
the objection.
what I'm saying is that the morph it's not them. It's they are off somewhere. We can talk about the mechanics later, but they've created this body is not their body. It's something they have made. It exists only for the duration of time that they're morphed. It blinks in and out of existence, but while it's in existence, it is potentially real and potentially thinking, and they are controlling it.
But are you telling me that this is like the prestige or something, and like every time they morph into an animal they're creating a life and then killing it when they morph back?
I'm saying that I think this might be what Cassie is worried about, and that might be where the ethical concern comes in. Although maybe I'm reading too much into it because uh, this didn't occur to me until very, very recently. Like even throughout my 20s, this never occurred to me. So, I, like if that was the intent, maybe it should have been better put in
Yeah, I
there since
mean,
this was written for 8-year-olds.
that that is an interesting side to it, but I feel like also has a lot to do with how morphing works exactly, which is still kind
Mhm.
of unclear in some respects. But yeah, I definitely did not really
Yeah.
get that from her. What
It's
she said.
never truly clear either. Like, I even if you had read this full series, you could probably argue with what I just said and say that's bullshit.
Yeah, and maybe
But
I
I
would,
think
and
there's
maybe I
something
will.
there.
And to continue, so I don't know. I just felt like Cassie quit virtue signaling.
Yeah, well,
That's
she's
that's
gonna verge like this a lot, and Marco is gonna get pretty sick of it by the end of the series.
Okay,
So you're
once
on the
again.
right track here.
All right, good. Keep me on this path. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Along the lines still of animal morality and stuff. I guess
Mhm.
this is before everybody decided that SeaWorld was evil, and that also also that zoos are evil. Like we're all still cool with that right now.
Yeah, I don't know because this would have been post like Free Willy, right?
It might have been Free Willy might have been 96 or 97. Might have been like right
Right at the
there.
same. It's
Or
hard.
maybe not.
I
No,
know it
no,
was
maybe
right
Free
around
Willy's
there.
No, you know what? Free Willy is probably more early
I
90s
thought it
actually. Or
was.
hell, it might even be like 89 actually. I don't
It
remember. Yeah.
it must have been. So the problem is I started reading this in elementary school, and I know that it came out no later than when I was in elementary school because my name is Will. So of course, if there's a popular
Yeah.
movie called Free Willy, you're gonna get called Free Willy. It's
You're
just
yeah, it's 1993. I looked it up. Yeah.
okay. Okay, there you go.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. That kind of has a vibe of an 80s movie though, I think. That's why I feel like
Mm.
it feels like it could have come out like in the era of Neverending Story and stuff like that. Anyway,
Yeah,
um
but it is one of those things. I do agree. There's like a weird like I'm not opposed to zoos, but there is a weird line where you start getting into animals like dolphins or chimps or gorillas or killer whales. Like, uh, if you were sort of following that story late last year with the chimps that took over the monkey house in Sweden, and they had like a full standoff with the police, and it ended with like three chimps dead, and the chimp ringleader had organized several like rock throwing attacks before. And you read the stories about it, and they don't read like an escaped bear, right? They read like a standoff with a revolutionary terrorist organization. Like, it's too human. Like, there's
yeah.
something wrong there.
Planet of the Apes, my dude.
Yeah, yeah,
But aren't we also now getting into the territory of like, so Cassie only feels bad about doing this to intelligent animals, but
yeah.
if
I
you're
mean, she does
underneath,
this. Yeah, like this will happen. She never feels bad about morphing unintelligent animals in whatever her definition of intelligence is.
so I don't know, Cassie. I don't know if I'm fully on board with this one, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
you
she
you do
is
you.
still a kid. She's doing her best to try to figure out. This is a thematic thing with Cassie. She does her best to try to be a moral actor, even when they have to do immoral things like killing. And
Cassie's
it
kind of a
causes.
Lisa Simpson.
Yeah, I guess so. It causes her to be very contradictory at times, but I do think that it kind of helps her hang on to her soul in a way. But
Wow, that's
it,
deep.
it is deep. Thank you.
That's really deep. Okay, so did they get these dolphins yet? I don't remember where we're at.
Yeah, they got him. They got him, and so they have to go out and morph him.
Now,
So yeah.
just I'm sorry, but before I know that this is we're an hour 4, I think, of the podcast right now, but
Hmm.
it needs to be, and I mean we could save it for the end, but I think we should say it now. That these
Absolutely.
dolphins are named after the characters from Friends.
I was going to immediately make sure to let you say that, and somehow I forgot that.
They're although it is never explicitly stated in the book, their names are Rachel, Ross, Chandler, Joey, Phoebe, Monica.
That's right. Do you remember
And
which one Cassie morphs?
Monica, right?
Yep, it's Monica.
And yeah, I want to know who they all got. I need to know.
I do too.
I think because Marco, I think should get he's kind of a Chandler
He
Joey combo
is.
package.
Yeah, he could be either. I mean, he
um,
and Jake have to be Chandler and Joey. They just have the two
oh
of them
yeah,
both
no,
could be.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I wasn't sure who Jake would be, but I think that's right. Yeah, the friends don't really have a leader. I
Yeah.
guess Imagine if there was a Friends series of books, and every it was like, "My name is Phoebe. I can't tell you my last name. I live in a city. Which city? I can't tell you. It's got a big park in it, though." Okay. Now I don't
I
know
think
what I'm doing.
I think Tobias is the Phoebe of the group.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Oh, I guess maybe Rachel is is Monica because she's Jewish. Oh, but then Jake has to be Ross because they're cousins versus brother and sister.
Yeah, Jake's not a Ross type though.
There's a lot of overlap. It's hard.
Yeah,
Cassie's kind of a Ross type, for being real. She,
kind of. She's
remember
less
he's a
annoying.
paleontologist.
That's true.
He's like a nerd who knows about museums and stuff. Okay, that's enough friends. When we do our Friends podcast,
Right. That's the follow up to this one. Our next '90s podcast is Friends.
that's what everyone's been waiting for, is for just two men to give their take on Friends,
That's right. That's
like
right.
everything
Everyone
else in
loves
the world.
Friends. Nobody has changed their opinions on Friends.
All right, I'm just please
We'll
just
keep
tell me to
yeah,
shut up and keep
it's
going.
time to go on. They go down to the river, a little river outlet, to morph into dolphins so that they're, out of the way. It's shallow enough for the humans. Nobody can see them. They turn into dolphins. They do actually make a note that Cassie does not encounter a conscious mind in here, so I don't know what she's so worried about. But she does feel extremely playful, like a small kid. They all morph dolphins. They all swim out to sea to go see what they can see. And but the whole time they never really get the playfulness of the dolphin under control. They spend like 45 minutes dicking around, jumping around, and just generally playing until Tobias has to get them back on track.
Yeah, being a dolphin seems real fun, and Tobias gets to watch.
Yes, yeah, that's right. He gets a watch. He gets a watch now as well. Two
Oh,
watch and
I
a
do.
watch.
I really like anytime they accessorize Tobias.
Mm,
I love when he got to carry a little pouch.
yeah,
That was fun.
we'll keep an eye out for the Tobias accessories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is actually the perfect place, looping back to dolphinsex.org, to meet a wild dolphin is in a little shallow cove like this. They recommend specifically 1.5 to 2 feet of water.
I'm glad that you went back to this, because I was also gonna say, uh, when they go to the zoo and Cassie has to come up with an excuse for why they're there, she says, "Oh, we were researching dolphins on the internet." So
Yeah.
I think maybe she saw that site.
Yeah, maybe she did. Yeah, I would recommend not going to a zoo dolphin because, there's like power dynamics there. It's like a prison guard and a prisoner, You've got to have a wild dolphin.
So they morph into these dolphins, and I assume that this is the cover. This is the scene from the cover. And
Yes.
Marco's real he's real tactful. He as Cassie is morphing, Marco says, "Oh man, that's definitely not attractive." And he adds, "Not a good look for you, Cassie."
Yeah, I think she remarks on that too, where it's sometimes I can make morphs look pretty, but not this one.
Yes, she is at one point armless with flippers, standing 10 feet tall on human-sized legs.
Little
Are
baby
dolphins that
legs.
big? They're 10 feet long?
That wouldn't surprise me. They get
I'm
pretty
learning
big.
facts. Yeah, that's a big dolphin, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know, or an average sized dolphin.
yeah, dolphins are pretty big.
But yeah, they have a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah. I also, one of the things about dolphins and being playful, and I'm not going to critique her for making dolphins very playful all the time because I think they probably are, but dolphins are pretty fucked up and evil as far as animals go.
Yeah, I
Do-
believe it.
Dolphins are known to just like form roaming gangs and like kill all their baby dolphins or like rape dolphins for fun. There was like a mystery at one point around one of the coasts on Europe where all these porpoises were washing up dead all of a sudden, and nobody could figure out why. And people thought there must be some human intervention thing, but they realized there was just this one group of dolphins that had decided it would be a really fun game to just start killing porpoises for no reason. So all the porpoises in the area started getting killed off. Um, they're one of those animals that's like actually intelligent enough to be evil, as opposed to just they did an animal thing.
Yeah, I feel maybe the Yerks should form an alliance with the
Maybe
dolphins.
maybe they should. Yeah, but it's all play. It's just a game to them. They're like it's like how little kids will make drawings of like their teacher getting guillotined or whatever because they don't like him. They think it's funny. They
Yeah,
don't really understand morality.
they're sociopaths. They don't have
That's right.
a conscience at that point.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
chimps also chimps are one of the like only animals that commit like war crimes. Like they'll like when they go to war with rival gangs, they won't just beat them. They'll like if they kill the leader, they'll like take them back to the center and like rip off their face and genitals and desecrate the body and just leave it there for a while. Like they like abstract high level conceptualization of acts of evil.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Our closest relatives.
Yeah, our most fuckable the chimps. Not I was thinking of the dolphins again.
Right,
I
right.
guess chimps are number 2 most
Yeah.
fuckable.
Well, what about the bonobos, our other?
Oh, yeah, they just love jerking off all the time.
Yeah, that's our two the most sexual primates and the most violent primates are our two closest. Uh, we're like right in the middle.
Top top 4 most fuckable animals. Number 4 is the chimp.
Hmm.
Number 3 is the bonobo.
Right?
Number 2 is dolphins.
Yeah.
Number 1 is red-tailed hawks.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go for a JRHNBR.
I don't even know what that could possibly mean. Now
Now, don't
now
try to play dumb with
where
me.
the you can't this is too inside info. The listeners aren't gonna like these inside references. They
They're
don't know
gonna
what
look
this
that one
means.
up and they're gonna find out.
Well, that's on them to do. This is we can't release this episode. The we'll be arrested.
Inquiring minds want to know. We're not doing that. We just, we're interested. We want to know about the full range of the human experience. And I mean, we're
Great.
not like
Just save this for when we're in court. Now, I feel like there's a recurring theme with these books that is Animorphs go to do something,
Mhm.
to do their mission, but you still have to have half a book, so something has to happen that makes them leave and then come back and try to do the exact same thing again
Yes,
later.
that's the basic structure. They after they have their initial morph for personal reasons and then they have their get together to figure out what to do with the hook, they have to go out and do like a scouting mission or like a first attempt at a mission without any idea of what they're doing and then they get their shit fucked and then they have to come back and do it for real. That
Yeah.
this is like every book.
Okay, great. Well,
So
that's what happens.
that is what happens. Because as they start echolocating to find the ship, they see a bunch of sharks attacking a great one, which is, I guess,
Yes.
the ancestral dolphin word for a whale or something. Because they all seem to just know what this means, and it's a whale. They get unreasonably pissed off. Something about dolphins being the natural enemies of sharks that I think K. A. Applegate made up.
No,
And
it's they're like it's like West Side Story in the ocean. They're
okay.
yeah.
Okay, actually think it came from somewhere else, but anyway, they
Huh?
fight off the sharks, drive them off from the whale, and it's pretty violent and intense. And when the dust settles, all the sharks have been driven off, but Marco is sitting there, and his tail is bitten almost clean off. It's hanging by a few threads of flesh, and he is rapidly bleeding out and like losing consciousness. And they're in the middle of the ocean, and he can't swim. So this was my first like real graphic trauma in an Animorphs book. So
Not in
this
real life.
no, in real life, I'm a safe little suburbanite who nothing truly bad has ever happened to, and I have no right to complain. because of my
we'll,
privilege.
we'll fix that by the end of the show.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Yes.
It's truly disturbing the way that it's described, like his tail hanging by threads, or I mean, it's very gross.
Yeah, and you can feel the sort of like panic and desperation in his voice as he's like saying like I'm going to die and he's like pleading for help and he's like I think I'm in real bad shape because he's like slipping out of consciousness here.
He
Um
also does say, "Oh man, that's a major ouchie."
mhm. Even in his dying moments Marco is still who he is.
God bless him. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty gross. Yeah, it was a little bit shocking.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the things that they love to do in Animorphs is make the worst trauma the stuff that's just regular Earth animal stuff. You know, the epic climaxes are usually less memorable in terms of like, oh my god, how horrible, than just like, oh, there were some sharks here. We just ran into some sharks. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, this is just everyday stuff. This is real.
Yeah,
Th
no,
this happens.
I mean, they did this earlier in the book too when they're getting shot at with guns, and Cassie makes a mental note of just, you know, I'm used to being shot at with laser beams and being chased after by aliens, but guns, like regular guns that just people have, it's crazy. It's nuts, I think she says.
Yeah, it's insane, it's insane.
That's right.
Um,
Insane.
yeah, so then are we getting to the part where he's saved, or
This is the part where he is saved. I do want to mention that it doesn't the fact that Marco can't swim here, a little weird to me. His mom died in a boating accident because she had a sailboat and often went out sailing. And as I recall, Marco did go out sailing with her sometimes. So I don't know why he was never taught to swim.
I
Um,
guess, yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe it's I suppose the idea is that he's traumatized by the water and, like,
yeah,
avoids it.
it
Maybe
would make
he
sense that he has like ocean issues or fear, or that like if he hadn't learned how to swim before, he might not want to learn how to swim. But
although they don't you would think that that would come up when they're gonna go into the ocean, but it
you would
didn't.
think that it would come up, that he would say something about that. But
Yeah, no, he seemed completely fine with doing it, so which is
yeah.
weird just for him.
It is weird. Yeah. I mean, he's down to save an Andalite. He said, I think even when he agreed to it, he said, "I really hate to disappoint y'all, but I'm coming along."
Oh, yeah, he did a funny thing where he was like, "I'm," or maybe that's later, I thought it was in the beginning, he's like, "I'm
Yeah, yeah.
in," and they're all like, "Huh?" And he's like, "I just wanted to beat Rachel to it for once."
Oh yeah, I think that is coming up. But yes, he's a little scamp.
He sure is. But this whale, this freaking whale comes in.
This whale comes in. You know, everybody turns to Cassie here. Help Marco, you're the vet. She doesn't. I mean, what's she gonna do? But she says if he morphs human, or if he morphs human and then back to the dolphin, you know, he'll be healed, I guess, hopefully, because the DNA in the morph won't, whatever. But Marco can't swim, but fortunately the whale comes up, and it comes up to help them out, and Marco can sit on its back and demorph safely. Um, and fortunately this whale is like freaking psychic. It speaks to Cassie in whale song, and it like full on she's like bombarded with like images and sights and thoughts, and it like is communicating to her without words. It reminds me a lot of the Tulkuns in Avatar. And it also, when she has her conversation with it, it also tells her where this Andalite ship is. So they now know.
Yeah, I did write down here, my note is good whale reminds me of Payakan,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everyone
who
loves Payakan.
of course, we all love Payakan, so
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very good.
They say he's a killer, but he is in fact a hero.
100%. He can be both. And, alright, I mean, I don't know where to start here, but, let's start with the demorphing thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, once again, morphing back into a human will heal you of any injuries, but not remove spiders from your stomach or bullets, apparently, if there's a bullet in you. What are the also, like, is there a limit? Like, what if you cut off the dolphin's head?
Then you
Right.
die and you can't morph back.
Okay, I guess I'm trying to think like Wolverine, like I think technically you can like chop him up into bits and he'll still regenerate or something.
As long as you are alive, you can get your human body back, and then when you remorph, you will construct a new animal body from scratch out of that DNA.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't really know. It doesn't make sense in terms of things like human haircut. They don't. Humans don't keep human injuries. Like that's just canonical. If you hurt yourself and you morphed and morphed back to human, somehow you wouldn't be injured anymore, even though you do keep your haircut and your morphing outfit. And I really don't know how that works.
Yeah, they should be like completely bald every time they come back or something.
Yeah,
um
I don't know.
Wait, is that true? It works the other if you have a broken ankle and you morph and morph back, you don't have a broken ankle anymore?
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't square up with any of the other things about your initial human form, but you can heal injuries.
That's great. All right, now let's get on to the bigger question here. As you said, whales are psychic, apparently.
Yes. Yes.
So it was already a little weird, but I liked it when the dolphins were like calling whales the great ones,
Mhm.
which does it implies that dolphins have like a culture greater perhaps than they do. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's there's a
Mhm.
lot of implications there that I'm not sure about. But now it's just like straight up whales can project thoughts and images into other people's heads or maybe just animals' heads. Like up until this point, anything to deal doing with animals has been fairly grounded and realistic, regardless of the fact that there's aliens
Mhm.
around. But now it's like, does K.A. Applegate thinks that maybe this is how whales communicate, or is she just like, what's going on here? I don't
So
understand.
so I have a lot to say about this. I think that there is a general pop culture phenomenon in the way that we viewed, especially around this time, whales and dolphins. And I think that you can draw, and she was influenced by it clearly. I think you can draw a direct line from Kay Applegate's portrayal of whales here backwards to the work and cultural impact of John C. Lilly. Now, I don't know if you know who that
Oh my
is.
god, what the fuck are you
Do
doing
you
to me?
know who about John C. Lilly?
No.
All right. So he, way back in like the 50s, going into the 60s, he was a neurophysiologist with the National Institute of Medical Health, and he was one of the early pioneers of LSD experimentation. He also invented sensory deprivation chambers to learn
Uh,
about the unconscious mind, and he started doing these experiments on himself where he would take acid and go into a sensory deprivation chamber for like 12 hours at a time. And the crazy thing about this is that he started off relatively well respected. So, like, this is a respectable guy with actual connections to real institutions. But he became convinced that he was in contact with uh, a weird psychic galactic organization, specifically the ECCO, or the Earth Coincidence Control
what?
Office. And they convinced him to leave the National Institute of Medical Health and instead do research on communication with non human animals, specifically dolphins. Now, ECCO, you might know Echo the Dolphin,
Yeah,
named
yeah.
after this. That's where that name comes from.
Holy shit, you're blowing my mind
He
right now.
is famous for a dolphinarium he made in which he took a dolphin and a human. He flooded a house and isolated a dolphin and a human in there and had the human attempt to teach the dolphin how to speak English. And the woman Margaret Howe ran it. It's if you listen to the audio recordings, it's fucked up. It sounds like some abusive boarding school where like some indigenous child was taken from their culture and not allowed to speak their language because she like if he tries to click or whistle, she reprimands and scolds the dolphin. He has to try to imitate human speech. uh and he meanwhile did his LSD meditations to try to guide these experiments from his isolation chamber. It's extremely fucked up. And yes, She did end up jerking off the dolphin regularly because this was a young adolescent dolphin and he had no other outlets for it. So it's famous for being a dolphin sex house. But what makes this particularly famous is that she notes all of this very meticulously in her journal as part of an experiment. Um, it's worth noting that John C. Lilly was close friends with Carl Sagan and Frank Drake from SETI, the Intelligent Life Search guys. They called
Mm.
themselves the Order of the Dolphins here. And this dolphin house experiment was partially funded by NASA. After the experiment was over, this dolphin, who very clearly was extremely traumatized, right, taken out of his culture, stuck in this house, developed this weird sexual relationship with this woman, and was like forced to only speak. This dolphin ended up actually killing himself, because it turns out dolphins can breathe or only breathe consciously the way that we eat or drink. So he just swam to the bottom of an enclosure and stopped breathing after being removed from the house. And from that point on, John C. Lilly just went completely crazy, fried his brain, and uh, it totally lost all of his connections and respect and all of that. But he had a major influence on pop culture, right? Like all of the like crazy, weird, higher frequency vibrational LSD is a gateway to whatever. Like this is all heavily influenced by his work. There were a lot of people who were influenced by his, like intrigued by this idea that you could speak to dolphins. We have work with these intelligent animals. So there was real work being done by the government with this. It's directly inspiring things like Flipper and like I think that a lot of what she's getting at with this whale who can, telepathically speak and is some highly spiritual being, I think this comes in some part from Lilly and his work. Not directly, but I think it comes from there.
If we don't win an award of some kind for this podcast, then I don't know. I just don't know what justice there is in the world because
I
I've
agree. I agree with you. Well, I just I love John C. Lilly because he's so freaking like it's insane. It really is.
I'm
Like
learning a
when you
lot.
you start dropping names like Carl Sagan and you're like, wait a second, this isn't some fucking crazy nobody fringe guy. This is like what the hell?
This guy's like the I don't know. Well, at first, I don't know. It sounded like the Mengele of dolphins, but I guess it's a little
Yeah.
even
He
weirder than that.
I mean, he loved his dolphins. That's the issue. He was just I don't know, like really fucked up and didn't really consider how awful what he was doing to them was. But like he would be like, yeah, I'm psychically connected to the dolphins in the sea and the aliens, and we're coordinating it together. And
It's I mean, it's shocking to me because I love John C. Lilly and Boogie Nights and Magnolia and Step Brothers.
right.
So it's just strange that they made that turn. But thank you for the pity laugh.
I liked it.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's where it comes from then. I guess that's maybe why the whales are psychic.
That's my explanation.
We got there. Yeah, no, that's good. That's yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah. Okay, don't say you didn't learn nothing listening to the Yerky Boys
I'll
cuz
try not to bring up a weird conspiracy theory every podcast.
no, I mean, god, what more do you want? Bestiality,
Uh,
LSD,
it's got everything.
it's got
Aliens,
everything
Echo the dolphin from the video game.
from the video game.
Uh,
Okay. Should we stop recording or is there more? Does the book keep going?
I think the book's basically over. There's a
Yeah.
couple more scenes, but moving on. Cassie,
Moving on. Can we move on from that? I don't know, but we're gonna try.
we're gonna try. Cassie decides to go. She goes and has a talk with Marco at his
Good
house
God,
about him almost dying. Um, she
Jesus.
is kind of freaking out because she doesn't want to be responsible. It was her. They all wanted her to make a decision. She doesn't want to be responsible for anybody dying. Um, but Marco has seen on the news that there are now multiple different it's like, oh, there's a treasure hunt for a ship off the coast, and oh, there's some researchers doing work off the coast, and it's clear this is a bunch of controllers covering for what they're doing. They're going to find the Andalite. So they decide, they have to rescue him before it's too late. So they all decide, they all meet up, all the Animorphs, and they come up with a plan to get out there. They're gonna morph seagulls, hop on a ship, take them all the way out to where they know it is, and they're gonna go from there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what they do. I like this, this little scene with Cassie and Marco is kind of nice. You get a little window into Marco's shitty life and his deadbeat dad.
yeah, it's pretty stark, the description of his living space. There's a lot of like visual indicators of his poverty here.
Yeah, and even before Cassie says something about that, like, because Marco can't afford a ticket to the zoo,
Yeah,
so they have to like get him in with a buy two get one free deal or something.
yeah.
So that's rough.
Yeah, and we really see, I mean, we see his dad's depression here too. It's because his dad's like sitting in a bathrobe in front of the TV, and it's kind of sad cuz Marco kind of, he says, "Well, I almost died." So I thought maybe me and my dad, we were thinking we might do something together today. But like you can kind of tell like they aren't gonna. His dad's going to sit in front of that TV in the bathrobe. That's
Yeah, I
what's
do
going to happen.
also relate a lot to Marco's dad. So yeah.
Same.
And Marco says, I'm scared all the time now."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, you get to see, it's maybe the first time you really get a glimpse of Marco not just being a cut up.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
Marco is covering up deep pain and fear. And it's
that's the one place I differ from him.
you're just an asshole.
Yeah. There's no explanation for it. Um and
Uh,
there's a part where they make some jokes and they describe the laughter as relief laughter and we're still alive laughter, which
yeah.
I thought that was really good.
Yeah, we're really moving into because I think PTSD is a running theme of Animorphs that we're starting to see creep in at this point. I don't know how much we've seen before, but we will start to see it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then so they, like you said, they start getting to this plan. I've noticed another common theme in these books is
Mhm.
there's a part where Tobias says, "Have our lives gotten really weird, or is it just me?" Is it There's a lot of like lampshading of the weird
Yeah.
factor. I
Yeah,
feel like
Marco loves the joke where he just describes verbatim what they're doing in way too many words and then says, "That sounds weird to you?"
yeah. Yeah. What's weird about that? Yeah, it feels a little bit like K.A. Applegate like needs to step back and be like, "I know it's weird. Don't worry, I know.
Yeah.
Just go with it."
Marco would
Uh,
be punchier than that. I don't think he needs because it's always like a full paragraph description, I just think
right.
he's a better joke teller.
Yeah, I agree. I do, in contrast to the previous book, I do like this plan.
Mhm.
They're using the rest between morphs method,
Yes.
and I think that's good. I think this is a decent plan.
Yeah, and they even say they don't say it here, but later they say they had some islands they had scouted so that when they go back, they'll be able to go to the island, stop, demorph. They've got it. They're figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah. They're learning to strategize.
Yeah. Uh, but they do go through with the plan. They fly out as seagulls. They do the whole mine obsessing over food thing, and they head out. They land on the container ship, the New Mar, and they morph humans and stow away on it. Tobias has to fly back because he can't morph, so he's just not going to be here for the climax of this book. He'll just be gone.
Wah, wah.
Poor, poor Tobias. Um, they get out to about where they think they should be, probably more or less, and they jump off the railing into the water and morph dolphins. There's a bit of kerfuffle around Marco because he can't swim, and they're trying to figure out how he's gonna like morph halfway going over the railing. Cassie has a little bit of a mini meltdown about it because things are already going wrong. But whatever. They turn into seagulls, they get on this boat, they get to where they're going, and they dive into the water as dolphins and begin searching for this Andalite ship.
Yeah.
Uh, I can't help but wonder if this boat ever got stuck.
Yeah. That
Like,
that could have been something.
like if a boat stays in a canal for over 2 hours, it'll get stuck that way.
Yeah. I don't are we doing an evergreen reference or what is
It's
this?
the Ever Given,
Oh, Ever
my
Given?
friend.
Is that what it was called?
That is what it was called.
Oh, I don't remember. All
It's
right.
okay. You thought it was funny, so we can
Yeah,
move
I
on
thought
from there.
I thought it was funny, and then I was like, wait, now I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
Oh,
Because I've
it
already
was.
the world has moved on. Okay.
I haven't.
Um that's fair. So I know I just complimented them for this plan, but at the same time, I am reading this passage wondering how no one on this ship notices five kids turning in and out of dolphins or whatever at the back of the boat. I guess it's a huge ship or something,
Yeah, I
maybe,
mean, it's
but
a cargo ship. They're probably just in among the boxes. Nobody really has to be there if they're not loading or unloading. I
yeah,
don't
I
know
guess
how the crews on these things work.
it doesn't seem like they're making any effort to like keep their voices down or anything like that. They're
It's
like,
probably enough ambient noise. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. You're probably right. But yeah, I mean, and we get more about Marco not being able to swim. He says, someone Cassie calls it the situation insane, and Marco says, "Hey, that's my word."
Mm, it
So
is.
that's pretty fun.
Little Marco
Um,
word. Yeah, and we see, Cassie and her freak out, in the last episode. It's a little more of the what I was saying back then about Jake is sort of the leader, not necessarily because he makes great decisions, but because he's kind of willing to make decisions. Cassie here, it's like, well, this is the right call, but Cassie doesn't want to make it because what if somebody dies and then it's her fault, kind of
right.
thing.
She can't handle it. She can't handle the pressure.
Yeah, Jake will take on the responsibility of them dying.
Now Rachel has no problem turning into a dolphin and diving in.
Oh yeah, she's all swan diving in or
And
whatever.
Jake and Cassie share a little moment where he's like, "Ugh, Rachel, am I right?" and uh,
Hmm.
and Cassie says she's your cousin.
That's
But
why I like her.
yeah, I think maybe Cassie. I read it as Cassie being like, "Jake, she's your cousin. Stop,
uh,
stop." um, but in the end, they do it. They do it. They
they
turn into
do.
dolphins.
They get into the water and they swim out. It's easier for them to find where they're going when they're dolphins because they have whale instructions, not human instructions. So they see when they get there, they see this helicopter dragging like a sensor line, so they know the Yerks are here too. They dive down and they see the dome ship, so which is a pretty badass thing that we can talk about. It's an Andalite dome ship. It's a spaceship, and they've got the whole environment in it. It's like there's a little chunk of world with a big glass dome over it, and they see the
Polly
dome
Shore
from the
is in
ship.
there.
That's right. Uh, in this case, there's an Andalite in there, but they go into the dome, into the dome through an airlock, and they meet Axe, our last member of the group, who immediately knocks them out with his tail blade and holds them at shredder point and is suspicious about him. But we meet Axe, Aximilia Escarath Isthil. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, which I'm very excited to have him here finally.
Yeah. Now
That.
I remembered Axe because
Mhm.
he's in the majority of the books. But I did not remember that like this is how they met him.
Mm.
I guess I think maybe I just conflated like the very beginning of the first book. Like I just thought maybe he comes down in a ship or something. So yeah, I did all of this was out of my brain completely. So the dome ship is it's cool. It's a cool that's a very up until now we've seen like blade ships and the what do they call the bug fighters or
Bug
something is that
fighters, yeah.
which are cool, but they're very like at least from the way I'm picturing them, they they're not that different from like a Klingon ship or a Battlestar Galactica ship or something. This dome ship is pretty unique. Think that feels like a different kind of a concept for a ship. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It works with like how Andalites are like they're very claustrophobic. They don't like being in like tight confined spaces. They like their ships to be nice and open. I think even in their fighters, I think they have like holographic skies or something they can turn on and off to make themselves feel better. So like if you take the whole military out, and that's the thing, the dome ship is a military ship. This isn't a civilian pleasure cruise, and they still tacked this whole park on it. But they need
Hmm.
the large area for them to run around and roam and have kind of a slice of home there.
Yeah, they're big Dixie Chicks fans, I bet.
Hmm.
Because they're all about wide open spaces.
That was beautiful.
Thanks. They're now known as just the Chicks, by the way.
Ah, is Dixie considered problematic?
That's probably why they changed it. Yeah, they were
That
probably
makes
like,
sense.
we don't want to be associated with this anymore.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We get a little slice of what Andalite homeworld looks like. We get a passage. It says, there was grass more blue than green, but it still looked like grass. There were trees like huge stems of broccoli, and other trees like orange and blue asparagus spears. At the center was a small lake, crystal clear blue water. From the water grew fantastic, transparent green crystals in shapes like eccentric snowflakes.
Yeah,
Just a little
it
taste of
sounds.
what, yeah,
I love it. It's
the
great. I
taste
want to
of
go
the
there.
Andalite homeworld.
It's a good taste. It's a good taste. How many fingers do Andalites have?
I think it's 7 on each
Okay,
hand.
there's a part where they use the phrase "many fingered hands."
Yes,
I don't know
slightly
that
more
I'd
than
call
humans.
7 many. They could have just
It's
said 7.
It's too many for a human. It
Cassie does
looks
not like it.
it's like AI art with the
Right.
hands. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, they can't quite generate it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we first meet Axe, I guess we can get into,
yeah.
like, his personality and
Yeah, yeah,
such.
yeah. I mean, we also learn that he's Elfangor's brother, so they have to inform him that Elfangor is dead, killed by Visser 3, and we get to see Axe kind of mourn in a way, in his strange Andalite fashion.
Yeah, 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 he's been, like, out of the loop,
Hmm.
and, I mean, this is exciting because this is our first Andalite since the first book, and
Yeah,
it does like I was saying in the last book, I was really starting to feel like it sometimes it was almost frustrating with how in the dark these kids are. Like you just don't they don't know anything. They're just like crawling around like just desperately trying to grasp onto something they can do to the Yerks. So now it's like, okay, they've met somebody who kind of knows what's going on, even though they actually have to tell him what's going on to some
yeah,
extent.
yeah. No, Axe is very much a fish out of water, but at least he can help them with all the weird stuff that's going on, so that it makes more sense. This is my first introduction to an Andalite ever because I hadn't read the first one,
Wow.
and I don't know that we talked about it, but the exposition at the beginning of this book is not it's very normal, right? It doesn't feel as much front loaded as some of the other books are. It's like well distributed throughout, and I don't think she describes the Andalite at the beginning of the book. So this is the first description of an
Mm,
Andalite that I read. Um,
wow.
yeah, I
That's
mean it's
probably why. She probably didn't do it because she knew it came in here.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I remember it's such a great design. I remember I tried to draw them on multiple occasions, I remember, and I did not do a good job of it. Um,
Horses, just regular horses, are famously like very difficult to draw.
hmm,
Or at
that
least
makes me feel a little better.
maybe I'm there at least I know they're very difficult to animate because like the walking animation is hard to get right of a horse.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, so I don't feel too bad.
yeah. And speaking again to the fact that it's a young child and teenage audience. I mean, a Twinkie Centaur, right? This is
Come
designed to
on.
be a heartthrob for like weird shut-in hyper online teen girls, right?
Well, I
That's the
did write
Twilight fandom.
down I did write down that I think Rachel wants to fuck this Andalite.
Yeah, yeah, she does think he's cute.
She silently mouths, "He's cute," and winks at Cassie,
Mhm.
which is really weird to do for an alien horseman.
Apparently, it's not. I gotta tell you, I've seen a lot of Andalite thirst around, just in general.
Sure. Sure, like on the internet today, but if you're like just like two teenagers who see a big weird alien and your first instinct is to be like, "Hey, what do you think of this guy, huh?"
The
Yeah. I
internet
don't know.
today is made up of the children from yesterday who read this book, so
It all it all started right here. But yeah, there's a lot of we also learn more about some of the terminology, like they have a Darishal tree.
a Darish, that's the asparagus one, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also what they call Enos or Marf.
Yes, Enos Emarf. It is, quote, "the way the lake curves forward into the grass framed by Darishol trees," unquote.
So that's really good stuff.
Yeah,
All that is
yeah.
great.
We have this whole long part where they basically, after, Axe is initially suspicious, they gain his trust effectively. And we just have a whole conversation where he talks about the dome and why he's there and what's going on, and gives him some more information about the Yerk. So a lot of stuff happens here, or a lot of stuff to talk about here, but not a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing really is he drops like a couple of bombshells that,
Hmm.
oh, you thought Yerks were scary. Well, they're actually really scary
Right.
because they don't just take over, they then murder all life on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. They do the like dystopian sci-fi future thing where we kill all animals that aren't meant for like farming and domestication or whatever. They kill everything that they don't need to keep their hosts alive, and everything else they turn it into barren worlds. They're destroyers of life throughout the galaxy.
Yeah, so that's
Um,
that's rough and that's scary.
yeah, and
Um,
this is, Axe is there's the little bit of a shock between meeting them because Axe doesn't know what they know or why they know it or who they are. Um,
mhm.
but yeah,
And then he also reveals that the Andalites may not be returning to Earth for 1 or 2 years.
yeah, I think he says 2 years.
He says
Uh,
he says 1, maybe
okay,
2 is what
okay,
he says.
okay,
So,
yeah. And we also find out that Axe is on the dome right now, because he is not considered old enough to fight. Right, all the
right.
warriors went out and fought and died, and he had to stay behind in the dome when it crashed. So they don't even actually have an adult Andalite warrior; they just have a sixth kid for their group.
Right, right. Yeah. Marco says, "You're a kid? I mean, like a young person?" I'm not sure what that clarification's
Yeah,
about.
K. Applegate thinks of the word "kid" as slang. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. How old do we know? Are Andalite years different?
I
How
have
is he?
no idea what Andalite
Yeah,
years look like.
we just know he's like a youth, but he might be. I don't. How long do Andalites live?
Couldn't say.
Okay, yeah, this
I
is a
mean,
question for the fans to write in about.
let's just pretend it's exactly the same as humans to make everything easy.
Okay, then he's probably. I feel like maybe he's like 15 or 16. Maybe he's a little older than them.
Yeah, I mean, he did go out on a military, but Andalites are like pretty militaristic, right? Like they care about their
Mm.
warriors and their princes and their rituals, and we hear some of this too. Axe asks who their prince is, and they all look to Jake, and so Axe calls him Prince Jake. This is the running gag I was talking about throughout it. Axe will call him Prince Jake, and he will say, "Don't call me Prince."
It's nice. Does Axe ever say Majake?
He does. He never says "ma Jake."
Well, that's too bad. But yeah, it's a funny bit. It is. I mean, now that you say the thing about them being all warriors and stuff, it's actually kind of surprising. I would think that they would you would become a warrior pretty young in the Andalite
Mhm.
culture, but I guess
Yeah,
not
well,
that
Axe
young.
is what's called an erist, which is like a warrior cadet. He's not old enough to be a true warrior yet, but he's old enough to go out and train with them.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Yeah. And I think they do say that in here at some point, but they'll say it eventually. And even things like when it's revealed that Elfangor dies, you can kind of see Axe like take this specific pose and ask these questions like, did he die well? You can see there's a sort of like ritualization to their culture that they find very important.
Right. Klingon-ish almost.
In a sense. They're also though like very in touch with nature and the natural world. Like that's what's up with the Enos Emarf um, thing. They
Mhm.
have quote names for all the many ways the water and sky and field interact, and for the way the suns and moons hang in the sky of our planet and cast their lights in one way or another on the different aspects of the world. Feels a little
Yeah.
Tolkienian, even
Perhaps
little
Tolkien
elvish.
and yeah, I sort of I seem to recall Axe being like kind of a funny character, and
Mhm.
but in this introduction, he just kind of feels like he's just kind of a dweeb right now.
Axe is always a dweeb, but he's a funny character. He's funnier when he's a human, but he's always kind of a
Mm.
dweeb for sure.
And now, as you said in this part, not much happens, but there's a lot to talk about. And
Yeah,
I feel like the rest of the book is a lot happens, but there's not much to talk about.
yeah. That's basically what's going on here. uh, yeah. They basically they get pinged by sonar. They say, okay, we got to run out of here. They all morph. Axe has previously acquired a shark, which they are unhappy about. Um, and they get out while being death charged. Um, they get attacked by a bunch of Taxons, but Taxons suck, and the Animorphs murder them all, and it's pretty brutal. Um, then Visser 3 shows up. He's a giant fish monster called a Margaret. um, Now, this Margaret has a bunch of fish tails on it. It's the size of a small whale, and it makes a wump, wump, wump sound. Uh, and he chases them for a while. Now, a lot of things happen here,
Yeah,
but
it's some good action scenes. Swimming Taxons are terrifying, but it's like as you said, fortunately they just suck shit at swimming.
yeah, they're well, they're good swimmers. They just can't fight. I don't know
I
why they keep
guess.
sending Taxons out. They
Yeah,
clearly they can go anywhere, but they can't actually. They say when they ram it, they say the Texan burst like a dropped watermelon.
it's so disgusting.
Burst.
R- well, and then right before that, it was like hitting a soggy paper bag with a sledgehammer.
I
What
know.
a horrifying
I know.
description. Just
Uh,
like truly haunting.
yeah,
Uh
like a
yeah.
watermelon between a buff woman's thighs.
That's right.
Yeah,
It is just like that.
it's gross. We also see here that X can keep track of time.
Yes, very convenient. This is a
Hmm.
good a good power for one of them to have.
Yeah, now we don't need Tobias with the watch anymore. And X gives it in percentages. He says we have 30% of our time left, and they like convert it to minutes. So we don't know yet if it's exactly 2 hours. They could be wrong in
Right.
their math.
Yeah, yeah. So that's good. Yeah, I like that. That's
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah.
Axe is also upset that Visser 3 must have acquired the Margaret from one of the Andalite moons.
Yes. Yeah, because that's where the Margaret is native to is the Andalite moons. And this isn't as crazy as it sounds because you would think like the Andalite probably just acquired it ahead of time, right? um,
Mm. Yeah.
but we will eventually find out that for whatever reason, most Andalites just don't actually go out acquiring a menagerie of morphs. It's just not really a thing. Um, Morphing is
Yeah.
more of like a weirdo thing for spies to do or for artists, and not just like yeah, I mean you might think, but I think Andalites are kind of arrogant. Like, well, of course, we've got our tailblades. We're already the best at fighting. Why do I need all these other things? Um, and additionally to this, we don't know this right now, but eventually we will find out that this particular Andalite that Visser 3 infested, that happened like right at the dawn of morphing technology.
Okay.
So,
Huh.
so there is
Yeah.
some reason to think he might have actually gone there as Visser 3.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a thing they can do, but they don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like if you were from a planet where no one could play music, and then you came to Earth and you're like, "Oh, everybody doesn't learn how to play music?"
yeah.
It's just
Like if
like,
you're a
yeah,
father.
you can kinda do it, but, like, Wait, what?
Yeah, but not really. Um, s
Well, actually, I don't know, I think this came up in my head earlier,
uh-huh.
but as you're talking about the, sort of how morphing works in a way, I had a question, which is, if somebody is in an animal morph, can someone else acquire the animal through them?
I
Or
think
does it
we
have
went
to
over
be
this
Oh, did we?
already, and yeah, they can't do it. Doesn't work like that.
Okay, alright. Alright, good to know.
Yeah,
Alright,
no,
that's
no
all I had.
cheating. Uh,
No cheating.
yeah. While they're running away from Visser 3 here, Axe starts panicking and despairing because, Visser 3 killed his brother, and Visser 3 is the monster who kills all the Andalites. Um, we and then we actually see Jake solo Cassie the way that Rachel soloed Tobias here.
Yeah, 2 solos in a row.
That's right. Two solos.
This is too much. K.A. Applegate, this is too much.
Mm-hmm.
2
Yeah.
in a row, yeah.
Jake
Jake says,
always knew, or
yeah,
whatever.
I wanted to tell you, or no, sorry, Cassie says, "I wanted to tell you." Jake says, "Yes, me too, Cassie." Alright.
Yeah.
Come on, guy. If
Just
you're gonna be in life or death situations pretty much once a week from now on for the rest of your lives, you might as well just cut out this shit.
yeah.
Just
It's
it's
time to
gonna get
just get
old.
together.
Yeah, just really make the most of the time you have, please.
yeah. Uh, but they do end up beating Visser 3. They're at the end of their stamina when Cassie hears the whale and she calls out for help, and the whales come in and beat up Visser 3. Um and they're not even like all the same whale. Like there's multiple species of whales who all come together to beat up Visser 3, and there's almost this like implication that that maybe like the sea herself called the whales to expel this abomination. It feels a little AWA-ish to me in a way.
I was just about to say, "Awa has heard you."
Yeah, she has. She has.
I'm loving this is my favorite episode because of the Avatar references and not the bestiality.
Right. Ma AWA.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah, so
It's
that's good.
I mean, this is a Cassie book, right? All right. The whole we were
Mm.
fighting for Mother Earth, so that's why it's okay for us to morph these animals, and here come the
I
whales.
mean, Cassie is makes sense that she's into Jake because she's a little bit like Neytiri.
That's true. That's very true.
It's extremely true.
You think James Cameron read Avatar?
I bet he loves Animorphs. I bet he loves it.
I bet he does too. When we get to the
He
Horkisher
loves the
Chronicles.
ocean. I mean, he fucking loves the ocean.
Hmm.
So he would be into this book. He would be thrilled.
Yeah, maybe he'll listen to our podcast and then he'll be into it.
Probably he needs something to listen to when he's going down and digging through the Titanic or whatever he does.
Like those controllers said they were doing at the earlier
Right,
in the
right,
book.
right, right. Yeah. So okay, they win, they morph back,
Yeah, they win,
everything's
they
hunky
morph
dory.
back, and they have to. And this is one of the less smash endings because I feel like in any other book, those whales would have happened. We'd have had 2 pages.
Yeah,
But
right.
here we have to deal with Axe. So Tobias hasn't met Axe yet, so Axe has to meet Tobias. They have to figure out what they're going to do with him, and they say, well, he can live out in the fields, uh, by in like forest by Cassie's farm. So he's off there. He'll make a little scoop out there, and he has to get a human morph. So Axe performs what's called a Frolus maneuver, although I don't think they say it here, where he acquires DNA from all of them and he mixes it together and he turns into a strange blend of all of them. A- And I don't
Yeah.
know that we really talk about the ethics of axe morphing this human ever. They like Cassie will get very into the ethics of morphing humans later on. She'll be like, "We must never do this," but the fact that Axe does it is never really questioned. It's fine. He can be.
He gets a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a strange choice, but I it's kind of cool, but it's just like he immediately is like, I know, I'll become a combo of all of you. Like as if it were the most natural decision that he
He
could
learned
make,
it in morphing school.
I guess.
He did say earlier, like he learned what a margeret was in morphing or in regular school, but he wasn't really paying attention. So
I did like that. I did like that. He's a bad student.
yeah,
That's fun.
yeah. And Andalites are a little bit weird about that. They have like very traditional gender roles where like girls are supposed to be smart scientists and boys are supposed to be strong warriors. So he was probably too cool to learn good stuff in school.
Yeah, well, on that note, Axe specifically says he chooses to be male when he
Yes.
turns into a human.
Yes. I
Um,
believe what he actually says here is, "I chose to be male. I chose male because I am male. Male. Is that a good choice? Choice? Choice?"
yeah, that is what he says. That's exactly what he says.
That is what he says.
You're right.
Axe likes to
So,
play with his mouth sounds. But yes, he
yeah,
chooses to be male. He could have gone either way, and he chose to be male.
yeah. So there it is, and we don't really get we don't have time yet to really get into what's going on with Axe now. Where does he live? What does he do? But I'm excited to dig into that in the
Yeah,
next book.
we will learn. I mean, yeah, next book we'll find out a bit, and we will get an axe specific book on book 8. So then we'll really get into the
Wow.
axe stuff. But yeah, we get all the funny axe jokes where he doesn't really understand clothing well. He always plays with his mouth sounds and makes weird noises. Uh, he says humans are a shaky species because we only have 2 legs and we can't even look behind us without turning our heads.
Yeah.
So all the funny little.
It's good stuff. I liked, just like the last book, I thought there were some good closing lines in this one.
Mhm.
Where Cassie's talking to those dolphins.
Yeah, she has a final scene where she sneaks into the dolphin enclosure and turns into a dolphin and swims with them.
Yeah, and she says, "They were asking me to play. They were asking me to dance with them, and so I did." That's a
Good old
that's a pretty
Cassie.
that's a pretty good closing to the book. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's fun. It's fun. It's cute. I liked the plot of this book. I liked that it felt a little more, well, I guess I don't know that I can say it felt more sci-fi. These books have been very sci-fi so far, but I don't know, the fact that it was about like psychic messages and stuff. It actually felt it was a little bit Shyamalan-y, to be honest with
Hmm.
you. Like I feel like a Shyamalan movie would start with like someone getting psychic visions and like people not believing them and or something, and they spread. Or I suppose it could be a Stephen King thing too, that kind of,
Yeah.
maybe supernatural is the word I'm looking for. It had a sort of a
Hmm.
slightly different bent to it than the other books so far. I guess with all the psychic stuff
Yeah.
going on.
That's good because there's plenty of weirdo high concept sci-fi fantasy stuff to come. Even in only just a couple books, things are going to escalate from there. So I'm glad you're enjoying this. I think you're gonna enjoy where it goes from
Yeah, it's
here.
already pretty high concept.
There's
or
plenty now that
yeah,
Axe is here, we can really dive into that aspect of it.
yeah. Yeah,
Because
that's good. That's good.
uh,
I like that. And as I said, I'm glad he's here. I like that, we have somebody to give us new lore and stuff like that. That's
mhm.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's really hard
Yeah.
for me to objectively assess this one because, like I said, this is my intro book. This is my first book, but I do really appreciate it coming back to it. There's so much in the text that I just think is I don't know. It's more evocative in its language in some ways than the other ones.
Yeah,
But
I think the writing in these books is not bad at all.
yeah,
I've I haven't well, maybe there's a
yeah,
few times with some like dialogue where I'm like, that's a weird way to put that, but
yeah. It's always so difficult too because we shift as we go from the early books into the ghost written books into the conclusion and once you've spent forever reading all of them, you have impressions that are based off of everything, but are often very backloaded in a way because that's what was more recent.
Mm, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Shall we run through the pop culture quickly?
yeah, let's do it.
So as you said, there's Magilla the squirrel. That's
Hmm.
sort of a question mark because I don't know if that's a Magilla gorilla reference, but I
Yeah,
don't
is
know any
Magilla a
other.
name
I,
outside of
I
that?
It must be like I don't think they made it up, but I've never heard it in any other context. But it's also not a gorilla; it's a squirrel, so it could just be a coincidence or something. I don't know.
Well, I wrote it down too. So.
Marco says, of course, he has dreams about Mister Rogers and King Friday,
Hmm.
as well as Baywatch,
Yep. Of course.
which, yeah,
He's a
of
teenager
course,
in the 90s. He's got dreams about Baywatch.
that's right. And that was later changed to Sesame Street. Kids didn't know Mister Rogers. I guess it
That
wasn't on the air.
is so
Uh,
weird
and Baywatch was just changed to lifeguards, like just generic,
in general.
just
Eh,
hot
huh.
lifeguards.
That's huh. I don't like
Um,
that.
Marco, I think, says something about them getting a psychic message from the Little Mermaid. That was like
Hmm.
his little joke, which doesn't really make sense. The Little
Well, she's
Mermaid
in
wouldn't.
the ocean, you see. Why didn't
Right.
Cassie ever go mermaid? She's supposed to be so good at morphing. She could have made the dolphin morph pretty.
Oh man. Well, now that really now you're getting too deep into fetish territory. Probably they wanted to avoid that.
Gotta be careful.
Uh,
It's not actually
uh,
the end of my dolphin sex notes. I have more in here, but I didn't think they were relevant. But they're anyway.
we'll wrap the show up with that soon.
Okay.
There's this one I had to look up because I wasn't I only realized it was a reference because it was capitalized. When Marco references the psychic friends.
Yeah, psychic friends.
This was like a I guess like a Miss Cleo type of a situation.
Yeah, this would have been like a precursor to a Miss Cleo type situation from like the
Okay.
90s. I don't
Yes.
remember much about it at all, but I remember the name.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going on, but they changed that to something later on because
Mhm.
nobody knows what the psychic friends
Probably
are.
nobody knows what the psychic hotline with Miss Cleo is anymore either. That makes me feel old.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see. Okay, Cassie's listening to her Walkman,
Mhm.
so that's exciting. She doesn't say what she's listening to though. Still, just probably the latest cassette tape,
She's
the new
streaming
cassette tape.
Spotify now.
Yeah. They reference Michael Jordan because it was the '90s. He had to do that.
Right.
When Tobias is wearing a watch, they say when did Red Tail start wearing Timexes?
Yep.
So
It's a
specific,
Timex watch.
a nice watch.
Mhm.
I'm trying to run through these as fast as I can because it's important
It is
to hit them
important.
all.
These are important. Yeah.
A couple of food brands. When they're seagulls, they mention a Jujube
Mhm.
and half a Three Musketeers bar,
Mhm.
and also it's going to a dumpster behind McDonald's.
Yep. Yeah, no, those seagulls, they love food. Little food brains.
And finally, Marco or somebody asks, "Didn't you ever see The Hunt for Red October?"
Yeah.
Which is in the later edition changed to just a great old movie.
Not that old. I'm not
Oh, sorry. They do still say The Hunt for Red October. They just add the word old so that it's old.
so you know that you're old.
Well, it's like the Spider-Man thing in Civil War when he's like, "Have you ever seen that
Oh
old
yeah.
movie, Star Wars?"
Ha
Anyway.
ha. Yeah. I was also wondering with the references here, they always describe the sharing as like the Boy Scouts, or in this one, Cassie says like the Girl Scouts. I don't know if
True.
that counts as a
Sure, why
reference or
not?
not.
Sure, whatever we say can count.
They always do. Oh, but Marco didn't say salad shooters, I guess, because there were no Hork-Bajir in this one.
No, they mention them a couple times, but we don't see any.
Yeah.
And no no Rubbermaid containers either.
Yeah. I think we're done with the Rubbermaids.
I Of all the pop culture references, I was shocked reading this book. You mentioned Echo the Dolphin. They made no reference to Echo the Dolphin. But beyond that, Marco did not make a flipper reference.
That's true. That is odd.
I thought
And
that was
yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is bizarre. And even Free Willy, right?
Free Willy.
So many whale properties. Strange.
Yeah, it seems like a real missed opportunity. I don't know. I feel like Marco would have been on top of that.
I think so too.
But something tells me that Axe might make a good guest on David Letterman. Just gonna put that out there. I think
I
he would.
I think you're right. Yeah, where's the Letterman? Come on, Marco. Well, next book's a Marco book, so I'm sure there'll be some Letterman in there.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna start reading that as soon as we're done.
Our first Marco book.
God, I feel like book 2 was also a Marco book, but but this will be even better, I hope. Or maybe it'll be really sad. I don't know. We'll see.
It's good. Like I said, Marco needs to be done with not wanting to be part of the Animorphs, so they'll make him be done. It's exciting. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So your introduction to the world of Animorphs, our fourth book, we're we're in the thick of it now. The gang's together. I feel like we're off. We're off and
We
running at
sure
this
are.
point.
Our podcast is going places.
It is. It is. It is. It is. Oh, and we should say also that for people who are listening, you can email us at theyerkyboys@gmail.com if you have answers to any of our questions, or if you want to tell us how stupid we are, or what we're wrong about, or your experiences with dolphin sex websites. We will definitely read them on the air if you write in. That would be pretty good. And if people want to follow us outside of this podcast, I don't know why you would after this episode, but I'm on Twitter at Quince, and I'll also this week plug the other podcast I started,
What?
which is called Geeks on Trial, which is very different from this one. It's about geeks and they're on trial. It's me and another guy.
It's not me.
It's another white male that I host with, and you can look that up on your podcast platform of choice or YouTube. Geeks on Trial. That one's got. There's no YouTube version of this podcast because we wouldn't allow that. But
Right. I don't want
that's
to be seen.
that's my plugs this week.
Yep. And me, you can follow on Twitter at DogTimesMcGee if you mostly just want to see me like and retweet equally upsetting stuff as all the dolphin sex things that I was saying here.
And who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't want to see that? Well, another one in the books, baby.
Another one in the books. Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time where we'll be discussing Book 5, The Predator, in which Marco turns into a gorilla on the Yerky Boys.